Here we see our current page. It looks kind of okay on a small device, but if we increase the browser width, we'll see that it isn't responsive. The layout is kind of fluid, but it doesn't adapt to the screen size. So let's create these responsive adjustments. First, we want to add the container class to set a max width of the content and center it on the page. We'll add this 3 places. First of all, we'll add a div with the class container inside of our nav bar, like this. In the browser, we will now see that we have the width of the content in the nav bar limited, but we still have the background all the way to the left and right. Then we'll place a container around all of the content. Another div with the class container. And we'll scroll down all the way just before the footer, indent it and close the div tag. When we look at it in the browser, we'll see that the content is now inside a container. Finally, we'll create this container inside the footer as well. So we create a div tag with the class container, indent this unordered list and close the div tag. Let's have one more look. Now we see that the content in our footer is also inside a container. Okay, now we want to create a row with 2 columns for our main content. So first we'll scroll up to where we have our main content, which is starting right here. So inside this, we'll create a div tag with the class row. And then we'll just close this div tag like so. Now we can create our 2 columns. The first column is for the board overview. So we create a div tag with the class called 12 because it should have full width initially, and then for extra large devices it should have the width of 9 out of 12 columns. So now we scroll down. We have these tables, and after the last table we will close this div tag. Around our aside element we'll do something similar. So we create a div class with the class called 12, and then for extra large devices we want it to span 3 columns out of 12. Let's go ahead and close this right here. Let's have a look at it now. Now we see that we have 1 column with the overview of forums, the board overview, and 1 column with the member information and forum statistics. This is only for extra large screens, so if we narrow the screen, we see that it jumps back down under the content, so all of it is stacked right now. Now let's adjust these 2 card components again. So we scroll down to the aside element here. And now we want to create another row, a div tag with the class row. And inside this, we'll put our two card components. Now we'll create a column around both of them. So we create a div tag with the class called 12. So this card will take up the full width initially, and then for small screens and up, it will have 6 out of 12 columns width, which is 50%. And then for extra large devices, it will have the full width again, 12 out of 12 columns. The other card component should behave exactly the same. So we just copy this div tag and close it again here. Let's have one more look. Now we see that initially they are stacked on top of each other, and then when we go to small device sizes, they appear next to each other. And they keep on doing that until we reach the breakpoint for extra large devices, and then they jump up to the right side of our board overview and have the full width of the row again. Okay, last thing we need to adjust is these description lists inside our two card components. So we will add the class row to this outer DL tag, and to these inner tags we'll add the class call 8 to the first one and call 4 to the second one. This will make the first one span 8 out of 12 columns, that is 2/3 of the width, and the last one will span 4 out of 12 columns, which is 1/3 of the width. We'll do something similar to all the other as well. So I'll just select these like so, and add the class call 8. Now I need to adjust the DD element to call 4. And then I also need to add row classes to these DL tags. So what we see is small rows with 2 columns, 3 rows in each card. Okay, let's have a look. Now we see that we have this aligned, so the numbers is aligned to the right and the text is aligned to the left. This will be the same for all device sizes. So now we have a fully responsive page. Great.